Hey everyone, I have a very special project I want to take you through today. This is arguably the coolest and most satisfying furniture flip I have done yet. So picture this beauty of a dresser, and this beauty of a mirror. I picked up both of these together for only $40, and I was very eager to begin working on them for a few reasons. Not only were all of the original handles still on the dresser, which is oddly rare to come by for some reason, but both the dresser and the mirror are made of solid mahogany wood. I saw the absolute potential hidden underneath all of that dirt and grime. So I put the mirror aside for later and started by wiping down the entire dresser to get rid of all of the nasty dirt and bacteria. And it's funny, but it took me until then to realize that something wasn't right about the way the dresser looked, and I realized that two of the drawers were switched around, so I corrected that. And then I got back to work sanding down the entire dresser to the bare wood with 80 grit sandpaper. Normally I wouldn't do this, as I usually end up painting the majority of a piece of furniture when I refinish it, but this dresser is very special with the type of wood that it is, and I would never forgive myself if I painted over it. One of my biggest pet peeves in this line of work is the mentality some people have when they think that it is always necessary to paint over every piece of furniture in order to modernize it. And I for one enjoy painting furniture, but I do have standards. And this mahogany dresser is something I would never think to paint over, even though it would be so much easier just to slap on some paint to call it a day. I had to include this in the video because I thought it was funny, but my phone camera decided to process the shaking of my sander as wavy. One thing I will note is that even though I did this outside, I still inhaled a lot of dust and fumes, and it was not fun, so it is always a recommendation to wear a respirator while sanding for a prolonged period of time. After that, I took off the metal brackets on the back along with the particle board. In my opinion, it isn't really necessary to replace the back of a dresser since it's supposed to be hidden anyway, but I wanted to go all out on this flip, and I had other uses in mind for the particle board, so it was kind of a win-win. I also took the bottom piece out because it was disgusting and it was all over the place and not up where it was supposed to be. Then came the harder areas to sand, which were in between the drawers and the decorative trim on the bottom. While the drawers were out, I decided to tear out the stick-on liners because it just looked a lot nicer without them. Then I fixed some pieces of the dresser that I found to be broken. Looking back as I edited this video, I realized how out of order I did things in, but I mean it all got done somehow, so whatever. I took all the handles off the drawers, and it was quite the sight to see underneath them. When I bought this dresser, the person selling it said they had just kept it in a barn for a long time since they had nowhere else to put it, so that explains why it was so filthy. I then sanded the drawers down and took the time to vacuum and clean out all inside the dresser and all the drawers. And then came the moment of truth. I first debated staining the dresser, but with what I had in mind for it, I didn't want it to be too overwhelming. So I first just tried coating it in a warm satin polyurethane to see what it would look like, and it was exactly how I wanted it to look. It was amazing what just clear coat poly did to the wood, and it was so nice to see all my effort sanding it pay off. So now enjoy a very satisfying montage. While the first coat of poly dried, I laid out all the handles on the particle board I took off to spray paint them with oil rubbed Bond's Rust-Oleum. But before I could do that, the paint really freshened up the handles, and I thought it would look really nice against the new stain in the dresser. And while those dried, I decided to try and sand and restain the top trim piece of the dresser and the middle pieces of the top drawers dark. For this, I used Minwax's Dark Walnut. After that, I lightly sanded the top and sides of the dresser with 400 grit sandpaper and coated everything again in poly. Then I reattached the handles and stared in amazement at the new dresser. There were still two things with it that I wanted to fix though. One of the drawer tracks had been screwed in at an angle, causing the drawer to not close flush with the dresser, so I drilled a new pilot hole for that and screwed it back down. And the other thing was to replace the back of the dresser. I took out all the old staples, and instead of using new particle board, I decided to buy 1/4-inch sheets of wood in hopes of giving it a slightly more expensive look, even though, again, it was the back of the dresser and it really didn't matter. I cut the pieces to length and nailed it all on, then gave it a light sand and stained it with Minwax's gun stock that we had happened to have in the basement, which couldn't have matched better with the rest of the dresser. But let's not forget about the mirror. I wiped it all down because it had also been sitting at a barn and was filthy, and then I used my sander as much as I could and did the rest by hand. Luckily for me, someone did a terrible job finishing it and it was incredibly easy to sand out. The entire thing had this weird sort of texture to it, which I'm almost certain was just a result of a bad poly job. So I spent a few hours just sanding away at it and then coated it all in the same warm satin poly as the dresser. And it looked absolutely beautiful when it was done. I then of course cleansed the glass a few times with some Windex and paper towels. And then everything was done. I don't think I have ever been so satisfied with a furniture flip as I have this one. It was fun to do and produced amazing results. A lot of furniture flips just end up being little makeover projects, but with this one you can actually see how much different it used to look and know that a lot of effort went into making it what it is now. I have it listed on Marketplace, and a few people have messaged me asking about it, so I hope it pays off well. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.